Every animal on Earth communicates. Bees dance to point at flowers. Whales sing across oceans. Dogs bark warnings. But only one species can argue about the future. Lie to your face. Write a poem about heartbreak. Or pass down an idea to someone who won't be born for another 10,000 years. That species is us. And for most of our history, we couldn't do any of that either. So what happened? What actually rewired us to become the only species that talks? For nearly 2 million years, our ancestors lived almost exactly like the primates around them. Grunts, gestures, alarm calls, a shout for danger, a cry for food, no sentences, no stories, no remember when. Just noise built for the next 5 minutes, not the next 5,000 years. If you'd stood next to an early human back then, you wouldn't have heard a conversation. You'd have heard something closer to a chimp troop just occasionally standing upright. Here's the problem scientists run into. Bones fossilize, tools fossilize. Language doesn't. There is no ancient skeleton holding the first sentence ever spoken, no fossil labeled hello. Everything we know about how language began has to be reconstructed sideways through brain structure, throat anatomy, genetics, and a whole lot of educated guessing, which is exactly what makes this one of the biggest unsolved mysteries about our own species. We invented the thing we're using right now to explain it, and we still don't fully know how we did it. The theory gaining the most ground today isn't about survival, it's about gossip. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar noticed something strange about primates. The bigger their social group, the more time they spend grooming each other not for hygiene, but to maintain trust and alliances. Problem is, grooming doesn't scale. You can only physically groom one friend at a time. Humans found a workaround. We started grooming with our voices instead of our hands, talking, bonding, warning each other who to trust and who to avoid, all without touching a single person. Suddenly, one voice could maintain 10 relationships instead of one. That social pressure needed a body that could keep up. And around this time, our vocal tract dropped lower in the throat, and a gene called FOXP2 mutated into the version every human alive today carries, the version that lets us control the fine muscle movements speech actually requires. The want came from our social brains. The ability came from our biology. Together they built language. Once that clicked into place, something happened that had never happened before in the history of life on Earth. Knowledge stopped dying with the individual. A person could learn something, put it into words, and hand it to someone else who could hand it to someone else. An idea could now outlive the brain that invented it. Fire making, tool designs, warnings about predators. None of it had to be rediscovered from scratch by every generation anymore. That's not a small evolutionary upgrade. That's the moment our species stopped starting over. So the same tool that let one caveman warn another about a predator is the same tool letting you understand this sentence right now, thousands of years later. And today, we're doing something no generation before us ever could. We're teaching that exact ability language itself to machines. The thing that made us human might be the first thing we ever handed to something else.